Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel. Welcome to a little bit of Starcraft 2, playing Heart of the Swarm expansion here. Now, Starcraft 2 is a game that I haven't played in like 3 years, so I actually have to do my qualification matches first of all, but basically, Starcraft 2 is a game that I really like, and it's a game that I was really quite good at. I got into Diamond, was playing against people who are in Masters, was actually beating them from time to time, so I'm not really one of those people who just doesn't have any idea what he's doing playing this game, despite the fact that I'm playing like qualifiers right now. It's just that like I'm really rusty. I am so rusty. And also I used to be a Protoss player. I'm trying to do it as a random player now, so things are going to be a little bit rocky for me in those terms. So basically playing against a bronze level player here, so it should be interesting to see how things go. Now this is a pre-recorded match, obviously. You can tell from what I'm doing with my hands as compared to what's going on in the game. So basically nothing really all that spectacular as far as my commentating ability goes. I actually tried to commentate this live, but my commentary came out really gibberishy. So yeah, that's not really something that I can do right now, I think, because I feel a little bit sick today. Anyway, I did this video because I wanted to sort of have a game to talk over while I talked a little bit about what I feel like I want to do with the channel this year. And, you know, it's the new year. I'm not making a resolution per se or anything official like that, but it's just sort of in the more general sense. I think that I wanted to talk a little bit about what I want to be doing with the channel and the direction I want to take it. And I think what I really want to be doing this year is sort of set up a schedule for this channel. And what I want to do is say that I'm going to put out maybe 4 videos a week, or aspire to put out 4 videos a week, but in practice I'm probably only going to put out, 3 most weeks. So 3 or 4, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday sort of schedule. And I think what I want to do is sort of theme each day and make sure that everyone's sort of happy with what I'm doing here. So a big part of this channel has been Don't Starve. I can't really deny that, and I do still like Don't Starve. It's just that the amount of content in there is actually fairly limited, so there's only so much that I can do for Don't Starve in particular. But what I could do is either replace Don't Starve once I'm done the second season, or interspersed with, to try and make it last longer, as it were, is to either start doing other survival-based games. I did a little bit of Rust as well. Those videos are coming out soon, or should be out already before this one. But I could be doing other games like that, or Minecraft or other survival-based games, or I could be doing it with other guide series and talking about games that I think people need help on that I happen to be good at. So any sort of game that you think that maybe I could do an informed guide on, you could get me to do that, or I could start those up on that day instead. But what I'm thinking currently of doing is doing a sort of survival Sunday day where I play survival-based games, Minecraft, Don't Starve, Rust, those kinds of games every Sunday, or rather release it on Sunday. I'll probably play it earlier than that. And another day will be like Strategy Saturday, where I play things like Starcraft, where I play things like Total War, those sort of things that are really sort of key to what I like. Those are the games I really like. And then, I'm thinking something like relaxing with Yukitsu once a week, maybe play things like SimCity, maybe play other indie games, something like that. So something relaxing, something lighthearted, something just sort of fun, and maybe another day of the week for a Let's Play series or something like that along those lines. So that's what I'm currently thinking I'll be doing. So comment below about sort of what you want to see this channel doing in terms of what kind of content you want to see for a schedule, for scheduled content. I think that having one day at least that's sort of flexible as to what kind of content it is, a relaxing with Yukitsu day, is probably going to be something that I'm not going to really bend on, though, just because it's a good day for me to just sort of try out new things, see how you guys like it, see how I like it, and just play things like that. And another thing that I probably will, just outright veto is getting rid of things that I like. Strategy games for me are probably my favorite genre of games, so no matter what, I will play some strategy games, and I definitely will play some survival games, because those are sort of big genres for me. But Beyond that, suggestions really, I think that that might help out, and then I'll try it out, and if it doesn't work out, we can always go back and try something new or something like that. But I think that adding a little bit more structure to what I'm doing would be good for the channel, it would be good for me, it would be good for what I'm doing. So, yeah, comment below if you think that any of that sounds like a good idea or a bad idea, and sort of things you'd like to see, sort of themes you'd like to see, because I'm kind of at that point where I think that it would be a good idea to do that sort of thing. Now, talking a little bit more about StarCraft here, I don't really play Terran all that often. Terran is my least competent of the three races. I'm least capable when I'm playing as Terran as compared to when I'm playing as Protoss or Zerg. And that's because, personally, I rely very heavily on a macro style play, and I feel like Terran rely much more heavily than Zerg or Protoss on their micro capabilities, that sort of stutter stepping capability, whereas if I were to play as the Zerg, it's all about how many can I make. Now here, for example, I had to pick up a bunch of guys with my medevac because it was getting stomped by Psystorms. So that let me save a bunch of units there, but basically I don't really feel like that was a very great game. That's sort of why I was talking about other things while I was playing it. I just basically built a ball MMM, old school StarCraft, and walked over his face, and that's sort of what you can do if you've got the fundamentals sort of down. And I mean, even that game, I didn't really have the fundamentals all that well down. So here's another game. Versus Terran, I'm random again. I'm spawning as Zerg up on the bad side to play Zerg as. That's the top side of the map. But anyway, just talking a little bit about this. My playstyle in this is actually fairly heavily macro-oriented, building lots and lots of units, building several bases, and having a big, beefy economy to rely upon so I can spawn in huge swarms or waves of enemies for my opponent to deal with. And support that with a few of those really big units, and then slowly increase the number of big units as my giant death ball increases in size and the number of bases I have increases in size. So that's sort of the style of play that I have. So that's sort of why I don't favor Terran as much, since they tend not to really do that as much. Now, that doesn't mean I can't play Terran, but it's just I feel like if you watch me playing Terran, I'm weakest as that. Now, going to go ahead and do a single Vespene cancel. I don't really feel the need to do two in this particular instance because I'm going to go for a fast expand. Now, I kind of want to do my fast expand there, but what's going to happen is I'm going to notice this little bastard running around. So I want to juke him out, and I want to make him think that I'm not expanding there, which means that I'm going to waste a little bit of time and money, but nothing too terrible here. So that's going to be something to worry about. As for other things about Zerg, they've got some interesting new things in Heart of the Swarm, but I haven't really figured out how to make best use of them. Their new underground host swarm looks and feels really frustrating to me to play against, but I'm not 100% sure how to use them effectively. Like, I know that they are an effective unit, and I know that a lot of people can play using them very effectively. It's just that I personally am not capable of using them effectively, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting thing. So this is that scout that I saw that I was talking about. So I waited till he decided to run off the other direction before I dropped my expansion. I tried to make it look like I was sending off a scouting drone. And hopefully that'll buy me some time, because if he knows that I'm fast expanding, he might cheese me. Now, other units for other factions, like Terran, Widow Mines, I think are great, but I don't know what matchups you're supposed to use them against. They've got some really good moments, but they've also got some really bad moments, so they're kind of weird. Like against Protoss, the risk that they're going to have Immortals or Zealots at the front line getting hit by those means that like you'll either do no damage with them, since they've got no rate of fire, or you'll be wasting against Zealots, because Zealots are actually quite tanky, and simultaneously they're an incredibly cheap unit for a Protoss unit, so like you're not going to really benefit much from using those Widow Mines. The Hellion upgrade I feel like I could make use of, but it's hard for me to predict when it's going to be useful, because I feel like by the time I get a lot of Hellions and I've got them sort of ready to be a main fighting component, most people have a lot of armored components and they just don't do anything against that, so not sure when you're supposed to use those. I have a difficulty difficulty feeling when they should be used, but they seem like a really good unit, and it seems like they'd be a really strong unit, maybe against like Protoss, who are going not going Colossus. But anyway, for Protoss, the new units, I have not got much experience with them. I just don't really like their new units. The Oracle feels like they already had a micro-intensive harassment unit for blowing up people's mineral lines with like at a slow rate with lots of clicks. Like, they didn't need another one that requires that sort of micro just so they could harass an enemy's economy. That just doesn't feel right to me. So I don't really like the Oracle for what its purpose is. So currently I think it's just an overpriced Detector Scout. And outside that, though, like, there's the Tempest, which again, like, it's really, really good at its niche role. But I haven't really figured out when to use it because I don't see Broodlords or Battlecruisers all that often. So for me, like, the Heart of the Swarm units, just barring a few, don't seem like they're really for me. So I haven't incorporated them heavily into my strategy, which is very sort of old school Starcraft II. Like, when it sort of first came out, the sort of units that they relied on are the ones that I rely on. Although, admittedly, like, the meta changed a few times around while I was playing. But anyway, talking about this match in particular, I've got some Zerglings out as a very early defense, but I'm worried that these aren't going to be sufficient at defending my base here. And this is sort of why. He's got some Hellions coming in. So the fact that I've got Roaches already on the way is going to help out quite a bit. I've also got the Queens, of course, who are going to help out quite a bit. And it's going to be up to me to make sure that my Roaches and Queens fend off those Hellions from causing too much harass damage. So I'm poking in and I'm poking out a lot because I don't want him to wipe out all of those Zerglings, but at the same time, like, I want to make sure that I can poke and prod at him with my Roaches. Now here I sort of commit a little bit because I want to get rid of those Marines. Once those Marines are gone, I can retreat back with all of my Zerglings, and he's trying to kite with these Hellions, but I mean, they don't really have much more range than these Roaches, so it just doesn't work out that well, and I managed to get a really good trade there. So the big thing, though, is I had to make sure that my Zerglings were still alive because they were the ones that were going to prevent him from doing any sort of run-by. If he tried to do an aggressive run-by, it's possible for me to surround and catch him with my Zerglings on creep and then kill him that way, and that would have prevented him from demolishing my worker line, because otherwise he would have killed all of my workers. And of course, you know, my Queens are good, but they're not good enough to stop that sort of thing. Building up a pretty decent death ball of Roaches here, and my dog's barking because he doesn't like Roaches. They're gross. But building up a pretty good death ball. But what I'm going to transition into pretty quickly is Hydralisks, because I think that they're a really good unit. I view them sort of like as a really, really strong version of Marines. And at the same time, I'm also expanding again as I transition into that sort of Hydralisk play. And the reason I want to be able to do this is I figured that, you know, my opponent is probably going to be doing something that either outranges me on this cliff here as I try and attack him, or I'm going to have to have something that can deal with these stupid medevacs, or he's going to have some air. I didn't think that he was going to do what he was doing, which is he ends up getting some Banshees. But, like, you know, when your opponent's getting Banshees, the thing is he needs to have gotten them a lot earlier than he did, because with the Banshees as late as he got them, they're just not really going to contribute to the fight, because what he needed to do was harass my economy. My economy's kind of gotten away from him a little bit here. It's quite a bit higher than him. And despite that, I'm keeping my money pretty low for how much money I'm making at a time here. So things are going pretty well for me. Just pumping out as many Hydralisks as possible. Now, at this point, I go in for an attack because I figure he has got to have expanded at least once by this point in time, and if he hasn't, he's in serious trouble. So he drops a couple of these Widow Mines, which managed to destroy some of my stuff here. But and I don't see an expansion, which I thought was very perplexing. Then I see the expansion like floating in, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just a few seconds ahead of him. But I managed to actually do quite a lot of damage to his army here, although I lose most of my army in turn. The thing is that I've still got like Hydralisks coming out, and I've got quite a few of them. So if he counterattacked at this point, he would have lost. Like, he doesn't have enough troops anywhere near to counterattack those Hydralisks that I've built. And that frees up a lot of population, so I can just dump cash that I was sitting on during that attack because my population's too high. And I should be actually capable of outright beating him in the next attack, because his economy's starting to really falter here. He needed to move more. He needed to really transfer more SCVs over there. I think his harvester count is actually also really low because he was on one base for so long. But if you compare like sort of what's going on as far as that goes, I'm on 3 bases, and they're 3 fairly saturated bases as far as minerals go. I'm going to be able to just produce units whenever the hell I want to. I mean, I'm floating 1,500, and that doesn't feel like it's too high for me, given the circumstances. And I'm even, you know, forgetting to do things like upgrade buildings and crap like that. So I'm doing pretty well, and like, this is what happens when you've got like Zerg and you haven't really managed to harass their economy. So this is the kind of thing that I like to be able to do from time to time. I should have built a more balanced army, but it's just easier to hold down the H button. And Hydralisks are a unit, if you've got detectors, that you can get away with that sort of thing. I just have to wait for my overlords, overseers rather, to get over there so that I can wipe out these widow mines without getting too many losses. These sentinel mines are pretty vicious. So there you go. One of them does manage to get shot off, which causes quite a bit of damage, but nothing too scary. We're going to manage to get over to this orbital command, wipe it out, and with that, like, my opponent has no real hope at this point in time. He's got a decent ball of troops, and I kind of derp around here a little bit more than I should. I should have just, like, committed, but I don't. And you can see that he's gone for a marauder-heavy strategy at this point in time, because he was worried that my roaches were going to be a problem, but instead I've transitioned into hydras, so those marauders meant nothing to me. So anyway, that's second placement match of mine, both against bronze players. They did pretty well, good game by my opponents. Keep in mind, I'm like being matched against bronze players because this is the Heart of the Swarm qualifier matches, and I think that last time I played, it was still matching me against platinum level players. So these are not really necessarily fair matches. I'm still feeling like these aren't really great games, like representations of how to play the game from me. But yeah, I feel as though I'm getting better already, so hopefully I'll get back to where I was before. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, I hope to see you all next time.